Well, it's possible Lamar Jackson has played his final game with the Ravens. The disgruntled quarterback says he has requested a trade from the organization. Lamar tweeting this: in regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization for which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me know I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family. ESPN's Mike Reese asked Bill Belichick about the Ravens quarterback.
Bill, do you envision a scenario where the Patriots would pursue Lamar Jackson, who's been assigned the franchise tag, the non-exclusive tag by the Ravens?
Mike, I'm not going to talk about players on that other team.
It's a free agent, so I didn't know if that
Period.
And then there was this doozy. Albert Breer tweeting, Patriots owner Robert Kraft said Meek Mill texted him 3 or 4 days ago saying Lamar Jackson wanted to come to New England. Kraft responded, that would be Bill Belichick's decision. And this is where we begin our deep dive with Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer and our own Tom E. Curran. Breer, how did that even come up in conversation? Did someone ask Robert Kraft about Lamar Jackson? How did it come up?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was, there was the bigger media availability with Robert right behind us. And then after that broke up, I went inside the media building behind our camera here, come back out. And there's Robert Kraft with 3 or 4 reporters. I'm kind of just sitting there talking to somebody else. I hear somebody ask about Lamar Jackson, and I walk up and I start listening. And he brings up the Meek Mill story, tells it in detail. And I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be a million miles off the record. And then he specified that it was on the record, so that was sort of it.
So it's on the record, and it makes me, Trenni, wonder, okay, why does he want that out there? And I wonder.
He likes being friends with Meek.
He does. That's a part of it. But the cynical side of me wonders if he wants to lob a grenade at Bill and say, I don't mind Lamar Jackson. It's up to you, Bill. And if Lamar Jackson doesn't come, he can then say,
I tried.
I passed the message on. Apparently, Bill didn't want to do it. So I think you have to be attuned to that undercurrent of what you were talking about, Trenni, this just undercurrent of they're going back and forth and what's the relationship really like. And because they're, especially Bill, so clandestine with their feelings or veiled, then you're left to your own devices.
So I know we've talked ad nauseum on this show, Tom, about whether or not Lamar Jackson should come. The Patriots should be interested and explore, a deal for him. Does this make you think that it's more likely to happen? I mean, you heard, Bill Belichick talk about Mac, and he was kind of meh on him, but Robert Kraft seems like he still really likes Mac Jones. So would they go after Lamar Jackson?
I still think we also spent a fair amount of time, and I'm sure we will over the next few weeks, talking about money. And Lamar Jackson is going to command 20 times more, most likely, in yearly salary than Mac Jones will over the next 2 years. It's basically $80 million would be the difference if you brought Lamar Jackson in and said, okay, this guy who was here for 2 years can't do it.
That said, I think and I'll play devil's advocate here and advocate for Lamar Jackson in New England. We've talked the whole offseason about when you break the huddle, who are you worried about? This would be the opportunity to make the person the defense is worried about the quarterback. And we've seen that Lamar Jackson can win with less in Baltimore. That roster sort of eroded around him, Tom, and they've still been productive when he's been in there.
Until December.
And then the big question is, can he stay healthy, right? Which there's risk involved. But if you're Bill Belichick, and we've had this discussion before about Bill not wanting to leave the place in shambles after he's gone, but if you're thinking short term and you're thinking in a 2 or 3 year window, I could see where having Lamar Jackson on board would make sense, because it would absolutely make you one of the most difficult teams in the entire NFL to prepare for and to deal with on Sundays.
12 weeks a year.
12, right. And that's the question. Can you keep him healthy? I think that's an enormous problem for any team that would consider pursuing him.
Bert, where is the most likely landing spot for Lamar Jackson? Is it still staying in Baltimore, or is it somewhere else?
I mean, I'd still say Baltimore, but the closer we get to the draft, I think the opportunity for another team to get involved goes up. And one of the biggest reasons why, Trenni, is because there are some teams in the top 10 that need quarterbacks. Indianapolis is one of them that may not want to spend a top 10 pick on Lamar Jackson, But what you could do if you're Indianapolis, you could say, okay, like, you know, I'm going to take the 4th overall pick, spend it on Will Anderson or Jalen Carter or somebody, get past the draft, and then you know what? I'm going to send you your 24 and 25 picks, which I think are probably going to be in the mid-20s with Lamar Jackson as my quarterback for Lamar. And I think once you get past the draft, you start to talk about some of those teams that are there in the top 10 where, you know, certainly I think that opportunity could arise because you're not giving up this year's draft pick to get him.